make sure this is part like live stream question and answer, and this is part system check to make sure all of our stuff is operational. We got most of the stuff kind of set up. We're still missing one camera over here and then one camera above me. Still working through that, but I'm going to take you guys through some of that today. So you're going to want to make sure you're liking and subscribing to these videos to help us get some exposure to it, and then we can bring you guys some more content. But I wanted to make sure that this is okay as we've adjusted the system a little bit here. And if it's too loud, I can bring it down. Take it down a notch. There we go. Hopefully that's enough. Looks like I'm bouncing off the red limiter there for a second, but I do have a mobile set up here and a camera, and we got the Wi-Fi and things set up here to where hopefully we can take you guys through all of BBT East, like in real time. If we want to jump to the back room, work on something, we want to have something here in the studio, we can work with you guys on this. It has been a lot of work to get this place set up for you guys. This is all for you guys. And for us to be able to share with you guys some of this journey and answer questions and really, truly deep dive into some crypto content related to, you know, where are things going? How do networks work? How are we looking at the merge, and where, you know, what's price discovery need to be on some of these other coins? All of that kind of stuff. If you're mining with GPUs, if you're mining with FPGAs, if you're mining with different ASICs, what are the ASICs? All those kind of things. So come with some of your questions today. This is a Q&A. I got a phone charging right now to do the mobile kind of walkthrough with you guys for the site. That time is wrong. I'm going to change that time. It says 11 a.m. That's just going to mess with you guys. It's 11 somewhere, not here. So I got the TV kind of set up here for I can see your guys' comments and all that. So we'll take a look here. Laptop set up right now for if we needed to look at anything, and then we can switch over to. I got a lavender mic now, so I'm not using these right now. These will be for more podcast style content, and then we'll roll into, you know, if we have other folks, we're going to have Serpent X, I think, heading down here to the studio. We'll see if we can get some other crypto people into the studio for some content too. You know, we got another mic here, so we got two here for if we need to have like a podcast kind of set up. And those just kind of slide away. That's nice and comfortable. We got a ton of content when it comes to the mining container build, and go through that. How hard is it to write a bit stream for an FPGA? Any chance of a deep dive? I would want a bit stream. I would say, I wouldn't call him expert, but I'd want somebody that really writes that. Maybe we can talk Wolf Zero to come down and talk bit streams with us. You know, even if it's off camera or whatever, to keep his anonymity. You know, we could have conversation in a room to talk bit streams. Bit streams is one of those things where if you have that skill set, it's kind of one of those things that you're given the keys to the kingdom if you let somebody else have that. And for people that aren't fully following what FPGAs are just filled programmable gate arrays, which essentially is like a mix between a GPU and an ASIC, which a GPU is actually an ASIC. It's an ASIC chip that's more general purpose, but an FPGA you can program. You can write a program and say, I want you to do this, and I want you to do it, just focus on this one part, and it can do that task a little more efficient than a GPU because it can be really customized to do that one task faster, but you need the person that can write the program. That's what a bit stream is. Lavender mic or lavender? Lavender. Lavender's my enunciation can, and my dialect here can sometimes mince words. Q&A question. Taylor asks, Q&A, is this ETH switching from GPU at some point in the near future? Is it said to be too late to start making a mining rig? Already started ordering parts. So anybody that's been following ETH for a long time, the ETH has been saying that they're doing this since 2017. They're a lot further along with some level of code. They've proven that they can do shadow forks and some other things, but there's still a lot under the covers that need to be fixed, some tech debt that needs to be fixed. So they are slipping the June date. I don't know if they picked the next date, but the next logical time would be in October. If they wouldn't slip it just a couple months. It's just not the way it works, because then they'll just turn around and move it again. So they're going to move it at least 3. So if they don't come in with October, they're not going to do it in December. It's first quarter next year. So then you would have from now till next year to try to get enough ETH if you were looking at it in a linear way. But that's predicated on current price and current difficulty. The difficulty's been staying pretty sane and are pretty the same for the past couple months. It's been right there at a petahash. So from a calculation standpoint, you can kind of judge that if price stays the same. Right now, you're probably a new rig. You're looking 14 to 20 months to get an ROI on it if you're trying to pay the whole rig off. So bottom line, you're not going to lose a ton on your GPUs. You'll be able to resell them because of the supply chain issues. So it's really up to a personal decision if you were going to continue or not. But I'm just giving you the timeline to understand, if they're slipping the June date, it's probably going to slip until first quarter next year. I think that's where it goes. How many coins are you mining right now? Bitcoin, Litecoin, Doge, because you get Litecoin and Doge, Ethereum Classic, Ethereum, Ravencoin. We have one machine on Flux. We have one machine on Ergo. I have 2 machines on Ubik. Part of the farm is on the Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Ravencoin has a handful of machines on it. So 8 coins. Martin says, I've got 2 gigahash, 13 cent power. What do you see small farms like mine after the ETH merge? I mean, it all comes down. If we take it from a linear standpoint, what that means is price discovery doesn't happen on any other tokens. Most people that are going to be priced out if they don't have next to, I wouldn't call it free power, but power that is subsidized. It's going to be back like the original days where we had like a true crypto winter, where networks will have to come down quite a bit for you to be able to participate. And so if you're not getting subsidized free power or 4 to 6 cents at the max, you're probably going to be priced out, where you'll be paying more for power than getting crypto, which some folks do. If they have one single rig, they'll just just keep mining coins and holding them. If you need to sell the coins to pay for everything, it's probably not worth it. And it would probably be a better serve to just use that cash to buy the coins incrementally, like you would be if you're mining them, because you're going to get more for your money, right? And then just take a hedged, if you want to hold your rig or sell it, you could use that as a dollar cost averaging. Some people ask, hey, I don't think I'm going to mine. I have high expensive, cost, but I have a $2,500 rig or $3,000 rig. Should I just dump all that into crypto? And I've always said, don't dump. If you have $3,000, don't dump all of it into crypto. Because now you're just picking a time, and was that the right time to buy or not? And that's a good question. Like last week, Bitcoin was 47,000, looking like it was going to hit 50, and now it's under 39,000 today. We'll look at prices here in a minute. Here's the cool thing about the microphone adjustment is you guys should be able to hear me right now when I turn around. I don't want to go to the whiteboard. Let's go to the browser. We'll go back to the browser, not the whiteboard. And we'll bring up, I had a few of these dashboards kind of loaded ahead of time, so we can go and look at a few different things. But here, we'll go here. I was looking up CRO token. Chronos. Let's see here. Coin market cap. I don't know if you guys can see this. Here's the cool thing here too. You guys can see the smart board here. So let's just take a look. So Bitcoin right now, 39,000. So like if you were buying, you know, if you sold your rig for $3,000 and you started buying over dollar cost averaging, you know, you would have bought, like now's a good time, down 3% is pretty good price purchase. And then you can spread that out over several weeks instead of buying at one time. I mean, this is a pretty low. You're going to look down here. Here we go. So, I mean, if you would have done it over the past month, and let's say you did it every Friday, you're going to have your dollar cost average is somewhere around this 44, 43 standpoint. So, like today, if you were selling a rig, you could pick up $39,000 Bitcoin, or you could buy Ethereum, same kind of situation. You know, that's what you end up doing with it. You dollar cost average. Don't just dump it all in there, unless, you know, Bitcoin drops down to 29 overnight and then just YOLO. But new mic is fire. Mic works perfect when I turn around. Awesome. You know, I want to test something with you guys before we get too far into this too. I want to take you guys. Do you guys want to see some of the BBT farm, and then we can come back to this? And again, for the folks that are just joining for a little bit, this is a part. I'll answer questions and stuff tonight. There's not a huge agenda on it or anything, but it's also like a system test for me because we're making some changes here, and I wanted to make sure the new mic worked good. This is a Shure mic setup here, so it's just like the SMB7s that we have, but this is the little mic that we have here with a controller, and I'll show you guys that our setup here. But I also have a mobile camera set up here that I can walk around with this being wirelessly and connected, and we'll see how, if the sound works throughout the building when I'm walking around. So if you guys hang out for 1 second, let me grab the remote camera and we can walk around. This is the kind of setup that we got going on here. It's pretty crazy. And it's taken way too long to get really set up, but I wanted to make sure you guys had like an amazing, unique experience by any other channel. And it's not that I'm trying to make a competition with any other channels, to be honest with you. I just want to make sure that our content is very unique compared to most when it comes to what I can do from a projection standpoint. Let's see if this thing can connect. It's trying to make sure it says connecting. Make sure if I'm on the right one. We set this up a couple times to make it work, so I want to make sure that it's working for everybody. Let's go here and just make sure. Let's deactivate this and reactivate it. It says make sure that this is on the same network, which it is. Yeah, every time I go and disconnect this thing, I have to do this real quick. 1 second, my dudes. Keep asking your questions. We'll go back to them. I had this working right before we started this, but of course, it's not wanting to work for this video. Do this real quick. I should let it load. This is what I did last time to let it kick in. We're waiting for this to do it. Well, I'm troubleshooting something, and I'll answer one of your guys' question right now. Right now, let's see here. Does BBT start decentralized and end centralized? So I think it would take several life cycles for Bitcoin to even attempt to try to be centralized. And what I mean by that is it's all about a force projection of the hardware. And can Bitcoin ultimately, here I can tell that it's not connecting to this thing right now. Can Bitcoin over the long haul and the producers of the hardware, like you would have, for Bitcoin to become more centralized, you would have to have a couple things happen. You'd have to have all, like a lot of the pools go away and you centralize it all to one pool, and then whoever owns that pool, that's where all the hash rate is. But what ends up happening is the incentive is to where people will just start mining against their own, like you'd have other pools spin up that people would just switch their hardware to. So it all comes back down to the hardware of who's mining. That's what it really matters. Okay, this thing is not wanting to connect, so we'll come back to that. I thought we had it fixed, my dudes. I thought we had it going, but it's not wanting to connect, unfortunately, to my mobile camera setup, which bums me out because it's just not working. Let's try the screen link. Screen link should be my screen on my phone. Camera, enable camera. Let's do screen link. Not working, dude. It's connecting to sources. That's not working either. All right. Well, I thought I had it, my dudes. I had it right before the thing is, and I went to put the phone on the charger. That way it would be charged up. We're actually going to put just an individual floating camera. I've been looking at different cameras to put on this for we could do some of this remote testing with you guys, because I want to be able to like pick up and go to the back and go through stuff with you guys. But it's not seeing it. So I'm going to add this as a new source. 1 second here. Let's get rid of this. Let's add video device. Nothing like doing this live, my dudes. Cam, new source, video capture. Yeah, it's only going back to the screen link. So it's actually not running the software that I want to run here for this tool. Let's see here. Let's try this. I can fix everything, my dudes. It's just a matter of if it shows up or not. All right, so that thinks that this is rolling. Yeah, it's telling me that I have to like restart it. But I think I can just disable things and make it work. Oh, I figured it out, my dudes. I figured it out. Oh, I got it, my dudes. So good at this game. All right, so you guys won't see me there, but hopefully you guys can see this is not too shaky. Let me go slow. Tell me that you guys are seeing all this video. So right now we're working on this kind of setup here. We got the pipe going up. We're gonna have a camera here on the side. So whenever we got to pipe that in there, and you guys can see the cabling there, and then we're gonna have the mount that we measured up there to go there. So whenever I'm talking on this, I can look over and you guys will be able to see directly on me. And then right now this is like the test PC, and we're gonna have this stuff in the other room through that little hole right there. And then this will allow me to then see you guys. That's the camera setup that we have. So you guys can see me seeing you. And then lighting. We're playing with the lighting to make sure the lighting's okay. And we'll have a camera right above here looking straight down. I'll have that camera right there, and then you can see the TV set up here that's all floating here. So hopefully, let's take a look on how this ends up looking. Hopefully it's not breaking up too much. It should be really good for you guys. But you guys can see the camera float here, and then we have that all mounted there. This is gonna be the render box, so we'll cover this one with you guys in the next few weeks, or at least the next week. This is the this is latest of everything. This is a 12900K full water cool that we just built, the Corsair 480 quad fan. That's the Kingpin 3090 full water loop. That thing is ridiculously sick. It's gonna be the best set up for render boxes. And then we got this set up going in to, you guys have seen this. Hopefully, we're going to see how the mics and stuff work from remote and how the camera works remote. So this is like kind of the test center you guys have seen as it's going. Fixing GPUs, all that fun stuff tested. And then we're at, random GPUs, my dudes. So it's 5700. We got a whole bunch of stuff. That's a 480 there. And we got more stuff out here. Hopefully we can get a couple builds with you guys live. I'm going to do this build live with you guys. So these are 3080s. Hopefully this is all working and not messing up for you guys. I don't actually know if it works or not, but we're going to put those 3080s in that box. So I'm going to go back in here and make sure that it's not just cutting out or anything, because that would be really rude and unfortunate. But I'm trying to just give you guys kind of a highlight of what the BBT East looks like. Let's come back over here and make sure you guys saw all that and see if you guys saw the 3080s and all that. And if so, that was great. There we go. You guys can see the green. We haven't changed the LEDs yet. There. Let's switch back over and make sure you guys can still hear me. So the question is, could you guys still hear me through all that or not? BBT Brian, yout. I'll hit you up. BBT Brian says he's out. So let's go back over here, back over to our main. So it was gold. Didn't cut out at all. Dude, our setup is working. That's what the test was. Thank you guys for helping me with that test to make sure that I could roll down. So this is just the camera's test with like the phone. We're actually getting another camera that will do the same thing, I hope, to where it'll be connected to the network. And it's a weird thing. So like when you're doing this kind of stuff, like with mining, like certain things are built for certain things, like phones and apps on phones have gotten really good to be able to do that if you have the right sets of circumstances. We have a lot of solid network setup here. Everything is new in this office. We're running 10 gig to all the spots here. We just went nuts with it. We're doing the SPF pluses. I think that's what it is. The 10 gig switch upstairs for all that. So 10 gig to all the different sites. We're using the latest Wi-Fi tech throughout the whole place. Make sure we have great coverage. Video is a bit laggy. Okay, so that might be just the phone being able to do it. But yeah, great. But how the audio was okay. If the audio was good, that shows that our audio is actually able to broadcast through some of these walls, which I was kind of concerned about. Get those honeycombs on the walls. So you guys so we're going to be doing some sound stuff in here. That's one of the things that we'll be doing still, but we were trying to get all the lighting and everything right before we started putting stuff on the walls. And for you artists out there, if any of you are artists and you have like produced content that you can sell, prints or copies of, we're going to be offering a chance to be able to put your arts on some of our walls with QR codes. And as we're doing like roams like that through the office and stuff, people will be able to see some of that in the QR code and they can order it. So it's kind of like we're going to be doing kind of a shared space for people that want to get Bitcoin art, crypto art out there in our office. So it kind of serves two purposes. One, it puts art on our walls. And then it allows a float of change. Like as more artists and stuff want to sell their prints and stuff too. I think that would be a really cool, awesome idea for folks to have an opportunity there to be able to get some cool stuff on the channel and on, the spot. And then it's not just static on our walls. So let's get back to some questions and answers. Thanks guys for helping with that kind of test, and it allows me to get a good data point. Because if I'm like doing it locally, like it never works. As you guys saw, like when I was sharing this, when I had to go, I had to fix it, right? Like when I did some system tests here locally, local recording, everything looked okay and it sounded okay, but I was like, I'm going to go live and this stuff ain't going to be right. So we'll see about that. So let's see here. Edward says, love the new setup. Currently living off my mining rig. Should I start to look for another job after the merge? Haha. I mean, there's different, nobody, I'm going to tell you first thing, nobody's going to tell you with certainty, that crypto mining with GPUs is going to remain profitable for everybody after ETH's merge. All we know is we don't even know if, between now and the merge, like if the market really cools down for whatever reason, it could price everybody out and we're still mining ETH. So it is one of those things that's super fluid. And I've always said to people, until you can get to the right scale of it and you can save quite a bit to make sure that you have a float, if something you have a downturn, you should always be working your side hustle and doing a whole bunch of other stuff than just living off your passive income for crypto, because crypto is volatile, and devs make decisions, and nodes follow their decisions sometimes that cause impacts to us. Some of the stuff is not by our choice, like when ETH's just gonna YOLO into proof of stake. Even if they're ready or not, hopefully they're going to be waiting to make sure that they're fully ready, but like there's nothing we can do about that, right? So be careful, make sure you're taking care of yourself and your family and you have other alternatives. You should always be doing that, but like there's enough people, I believe, that are in the mining side of it that are looking at like how else can we help some of these other coins to get market adoption, which then drives the price, because people start to buy it. I see this with Raven, I see this with Flux, I see this with ETC making moves to take on DeFi content, take on NFT content. I don't think they're fads. I think those things are, there's a ton of people working on the architecture to meet solutions, and then that assist in the buying up of the currency and the coins. So proof of work, I don't think there's anything better. I don't think I've seen anything that is better so far. Proof of stake has not proven it to me. What proof of stake has shown to me is several networks need to have a lot of control to fix things. When you have Solana going down and you have to send out hot patches that hard fork it, overnight, and then you have to force everybody to make changes. You're not seeing those kind of changes in proof of work networks, right? Because you're not messing around with the consensus thing. When you start merging consensus with other stuff, you have to rein up control. Proof of stake from ETH, most of it's on Lido. It's all going to be one pool. Most of it's 95% of it's one pool. And that's where most of the validators are at. So they're going to have a reign of control to make, if there's a patch or a fix that needs to happen, they're going to be able to convince that pool to ensure that the people that are hosting nodes there make the fix and change if they have a hard thing. That's a direct centralization. So I think that what I'm saying with all that is that there's going to be enough interest in the proof of work side, especially if there ends up being an existential issue that hits one of these proof of stake coins pretty hard, and people are going to look back to like, well, Bitcoin's still running, Ethereum was running when it was proof of work, and then a lot more interest starts being built on these other networks. But it comes down to where they're going to need that layer 2 and stuff. You can't have a massive amount of we're seeing it with Ethereum. If you have a massive amount of people having demand of use of the function, fees go up, and that's why ETH fees are so high. POS is boring. Well, I mean, look at what happened to like Saya. Anybody that was an old miner, when I say by old miner, I quantify old miner as even the 2017 bros, 2016, 2017 bros. When I was mining way back in the day, 2011, 2012, 2013, we're ancient. That's like ancient history. But the majority of mining really came up in the 2016, 2017 expansion of these proof of work coins. And if you look at that, why the profitability was nowhere near what it is now. Like nowhere near. Like nothing was as, from a USD extraction standpoint, like was close to what it is right now. Even with Ethereum at 1 petahash, it was not even close to this. It was all about yield of coin. And there was a lot of different coins. Our BBT multi-miner had 50 different currencies you could mine from proof of work. And people ask me, like, why did you make the BBT multi-miner anymore? I'm like, there's like 4 or 5 currencies right now out there. And like 3 of them are like the same, or 2 of them, ETH and ETH Classic, are the same type of algorithm, the same type of miners. It would be a very small BBT multi-miner tool. But if there's a proliferation, I think what happens is in that kind of event, there ends up being a proliferation of a lot of people trying to develop or make a new coin. And you're going to have this kind of, I don't call it dark age, but you'll have this like, discovery of where people really want to put effort at, and does it fall on one of these other coins and they just try to push it to profit, or did they start really innovating when there was no profit, right? And then you'll have that group of folks that are mining it, and there's different selections, and then one may get enough price discovery to now be kind of the new thing. The folks back in 2016, 2017, there was 50 different things. You had Saya coin, you had a Decred, you had a Digibyte, you had all these different other coins that people could mine. And then a lot of them started the Zcash. And then you had, think of all the Zcash bros out there with those NVIDIA cards. And then when Zcash and Saya switched off of proof of work, what happened? Like, who talks about Zcash besides Zook? Nobody talked. Like the community was just decimated when they got off of proof of work. Ethereum has a different advantage because there's a huge amount of users that could care less if it's mining or not. People leaning, it doesn't affect them. I'm short of the price of that people feel like they're overpaying miners. Other than that, it's like it doesn't really affect people, and people are using it regardless of it. So that's kind of ETH's counterpoint, is like, if we're doing proof of stake or proof of work, we're still going to have a lot of people wanting NFTs. We're going to have all this other. They have a very large community. And does that affect the ETH price or not? Does it impact? Where does that development go? It's a good question. It's part of my question is like, if that's where everybody thinks it will go, then why would you even merge? Just turn Beacon on with all the features, and then let there be 2 coins, and let people do it like an EOS merge, where if you don't send it over to ETH2's contract, then you won't have ETH2. It'll have a checkpoint to where it just says no more, and then ETH Beacon just continues on. They do all the development on ETH1, and then let ETH1 be. Right, and now you have 2 tokens. That'd be so much easier than merging. And then if all the development and all the effort and all the history and all that, you end up making another clone of it. Now, I know there's a huge amount of nuance, and I know developers are going to be like, dude, you don't understand. There's history, and if we can't just make a new app and we have locked amount on this thing, we need to transfer the lock. They're not transferring the lock right now. Right, all that's happening. This is the hilarious thing. I had this conversation with somebody that is development technical on it. All of the blocks in the consensus during the merge is only the consensus piece. So all of the function is still setting on ETH1 anyway. So the ETH1 is going to continue to exist. It's just being controlled and maintained from a consensus standpoint on Beacon. And Beacon is processing the transactions, and they're kind of wiring this mess up. And this is the tech debt side that I talk about a lot, is that there's a lot of tech debt on the ETH1 protocol side that when you start to wire these two things up, like the test they're doing is very rudimentary by comparison to that much bigger, larger tech debt side. And that's the stuff we don't know about, right? That's the stuff that Peter and a few of the other big core devs on ETH1 are concerned about. Like, dude, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in ETH1 that we don't know how are really going to function when we do this and we're inheriting consensus from another network. So I don't know how I got to that part. I kind of tangent these things, but will there be other things to mine? Yes. Is it going to allow the entire network of where everybody's at? Who knows, dude? We're banking on the fact that it's going to be, there'll be something to mine. We have pretty decent power where we're at, rate, and we're still going to continue to mine forever. That's what we do. But let's see here. Let's look at some more of these questions. Is there a use case for RVN? I sold all mine right after the all-time high, luckily. I just don't see a future for it. Well, there's a lot of development in Ravencoin. It has its own little metaverse world right now. It's a micro coin by and large, but it is one of the larger mining coins of, like, it's in still the top 4 of mineable coins. Again, it comes back down to development and use cases as more adoption happens on these different networks. I'm a big proponent of Raven because it came from Bitcoin. It has that same kind of core concept. It has a very rigid and understood halving policy, the same as Bitcoin, where it halves every 4 years. It has an asset layer. It brought innovation to the UTXO structure. It's more simplistic. There's a lot less risk, I believe personally, from looking at it than a lot of the other tokens, because they are innovating at the tip of the spear, where Raven still has a lot of their original Bitcoin code in it. So you have all this incentive behind Bitcoin to ensure that it has the most robust team to make sure that it doesn't break. And it has very limited things touching it. And then you have Raven kind of cloned that piece of it and then added asset layers and stuff. But again, it has its limitations because it isn't a rich smart contract environment. It does have asset layers and allow things to do more advanced functions than Bitcoin. But, from the aspects of the simplicity of it, I like that. There's a ton of things that Flux is trying to do. There's a ton of things that Ethereum Classic could inherit from Ethereum remaining a proof of work coin. I think Ethereum Classic has everything to gain from Ethereum messing up, if Ethereum messes up on that side, because you could fork most of all that contract code over to Ethereum Classic and get it running there with not near the level of effort. So Ethereum Classic could come in to be in the proof of work version of Ethereum that remains. A lot of people are like, well, why doesn't Ethereum just go proof of work? Or why doesn't people just keep a proof of work chain for Ethereum? I'm like, it's Ethereum Classic. That's just proof of work chain. So that's what you'll be mining for that. So we'll see. All the Satoshi Roundtable guys are invested, says good guy Piker. So I mean, Raven's easy for people to understand that are from like kind of I call it the old guard. Like it's a UTXO based cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, forked from Bitcoin. So it's not. It's easy to understand. Okay, that's your baseline core. If somebody coming in that's a smart developer looking at cryptocurrency networks, they're going to look at a coin and go, well, I don't know anything about its algorithm. I don't know anything about where it came from. Oh, it was forked from Ethereum. No thanks. There's a baseline. So then if you say, hey, my baseline was from Bitcoin, all the core is Bitcoin core code. And then here's this asset layer. What they're going to look at is they're going to make sure that the differential on that base code, they'll run a diff on it and say, okay, here's Ravencoin's repository, here's Bitcoin's repository, do diff. What changed? What have you altered? Is this going to break things? And when they realize, okay, it's not SHA-256, it's Kapow. Kapow had multiple audits on it because it was going to try to be replaced for Ethereum on its algorithm side back in the day, and then under ProgPow, Ethereum did 2 paid for audits on the actual algorithm. It passed the audits. Ravencoin inherited that algorithm to run as its mining algorithm. So I don't know. It has a code base that's a lot more has had a lot more eyes on it. Then you have some of the edgeware stuff. Flux and Ergo trying completely different things. Having their own algorithms. Different algorithms. different feature sets, different smart contract code, different client kind of structure. That just takes a little more, review and seeing, okay, are you going to have smart contract issues? Are you going to have latency issues when people are executing certain things? Like those kind of questions that come in for builders are going to be a thing. And I'm going to talk to Flux folks and possibly Ergo folks. One of the Flux people reached out and I said I would do a fireside chat with them. I like the mining aspects of things, like what's, how's a machine run with it? How's a card run with it? Is it hot? Is it, I like certain aspects of some of those other algorithms. It's not as hard on the card. That's nice. But, if we look further, is that something that an FPGA can exploit? And you have FPGAs on the network that can do part of the algorithm, that kind of stuff. That's like a deep dive on those different algorithms. Are mining profits down this week, or is it just me? At least for Bitcoin, I think they're up. They're up a bit. Let's see here. Big A says, one thing I can say about Flux, which I mined literally since day one, Zcash, is the social media were posting nonstop all during 2018, 2019 bear market, and they never stopped pushing. It is good to have motivated folks. Dang, I haven't heard Zcash. The communities in mining are it is unbelievably important, I believe, to cryptocurrency networks. Part of the whole concept of decentralization. I have great conversations with folks of like, dude, why do you mine still? You've been in this for a long time, almost 10 years on YouTube. I mean, we're at 9 years on YouTube and talking about mining. Like, it's a freaking almost a decade, dudes. Like, what the frick? But it always comes back to first principles for me, right? Like, you can literally get lost on the internet, find a mining video from me, from Red Panda, from Son of a Tech, I Mine Blocks, all these guys, like any of our videos. Like, watch it, download a piece of software, run it on your computer, download NiceHash, download whatever, anything that gets you to be able to start mining and start to understand. Go to sleep, wake up, and you have cryptocurrency. And then you start to realize oh, okay, I did this thing that these people that I don't know on the internet said to do, and I got a reward for my computer doing something. And then you start to peel it back and go, well, how and why are we getting anything for that reward? And you start to realize, you're providing security for the network. And the more people that provide security to the network, the harder it is for people to make, changes to it. You need more than 51%. And then some of these, you need more than just that. Like an ETC has functions now in it that you would need roughly, I think it's 37 times the 51% attack, right? So if you did have more than 51% of the network, it would literally look at the checkpoint and go, well, you need that times 37, that difficult number, right? So it has this exponential subjective scoring function to say you even need more. Bottom line is that it's just this random folks can participate, and they don't matter where they're at. It doesn't matter culture, creed, anything. It's binary. It's you downloaded software, you can participate. For that participation, you're given a reward. That reward happens to be worth money. It is that simple. And that simplicity is why I firmly believe cryptocurrency mining is one of Satoshi was a damn genius and figured it out. And that is a guiding principle in this space. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let any proof of stake thing, because what happens with proof of stake? What happens if you have to buy the crypto? So the first question is, okay, in the first principles concept of what I just said, I discover a video online. I find about this coin that I want to be able to get. First thing I have to do is go somewhere and go buy a token. And it's not just that I can go buy that token with USD. I probably have to buy another token like ETH from an exchange, probably do KYC to get it. So now I have to fill out all this stuff, and then I don't get it right away. Sometimes I have to wait. And then maybe by the end of the night, I do get it because somehow I was able to get it, get it through all the checks and balances and whatever else. And my credit card didn't shut me off trying to order it or whatever. And then I get this coin, and then I go to this website that maybe or maybe not, I click the wrong link and get phished and now lose everything that I just bought. And now my experience was really crappy. Like I found this thing on the internet. It said to go buy this Safe Moon token. I clicked on the wrong thing, and now I lost all my money and it's gone. Where the mining aspect is like, I find this internet video, I click on this link to download this miner. Now I'm being fair here. I could download the wrong thing. That's why making sure the source is correct, make sure you're getting it from people that are trying to lead you correctly to the right source. But let's say you get the right source, you download, you let your machine run, and now you get the currency. You're not having to fork over any information. You're able to participate in the network and you get a token. It's the leanest way on this planet to get engaged with cryptocurrency. Bar none, no question, nobody can challenge any kind of aspect of this, right? Or download apps on a phone, try to buy cryptocurrency, try to see if you can transfer it out of those apps. Half the apps will let you transfer it out of it, half of them won't. There's times that you have to wait, all that kind of fun stuff. So this is the importance of mining, being able to participate. Number one, I think that's the ground functional way of doing it. And that's where you build your decentralization piece from. Pools, where we send all of our hash at, have a natural incentive to ensure that they're not 51%. As pools start to get close to 51%, typically they'll start rejecting connections and saying, no, we're too close to 50%. We're going to shut it down. If you look at like mining pool stats, and we can pull that up, and you see a coin that has like most of the hash rate, by and large, that's just one or two people that are throwing a whole YOLO and a whole bunch of hash rate to it, and then just trying to take all the coins from the network. And it's probably a no-name network, not traded anywhere. What's the future state of all that, right? Where are you going to get liquidity sources and stuff? How do you pay for your power if you're YOLO and a whole bunch of stuff? So that I think there still will remain to be a lot of coins to mine, 3 to 4 for sure. It'll spread out across those, and we'll all see if there's a good amount of price discovery. Let's see here. Let's talk. Hope ETH miners don't start mining Zcash and boost the difficulty. That's not the way it works. ETH miners are not going to mine Zcash. That's an ASIC, and the ASICs for Zcash are different. It's kind of weird how the most boring coin, BTC, is still worth the most. Well, BTC is the first coin. It also has the most infrastructure behind it. It's proof of work. It's the primary coin. It's the one that has the most hash rate behind it. It's like having the largest army kind of thing. And I think that's what really comes down to, along with it has the most trust from the industry because it doesn't have a lot of change. Its core code base has not been changed that much. And because that, it's worked for many years. It's worked since, 2008. It came out, the white paper in 2008, 2009 launched, in January. And it's not had any it had major bugs, luckily fixed, but early in the code, and even as recent as a few years ago with the Bitcoin Cash guy finding a bug that was fixed, which was critical. And this is why having a lot of folks look at the right incentive and interest to make sure that it doesn't break. I think it's on everybody's best interest to ensure if they find something that's exploitable, that is responsibly disclosed, and allow developers to fix it. And this works for any coin, really, because people do have a lot to lose. And people are fallible. Humans are fallible. Code is fallible. So you got to make sure that there's responsibility to that, and understanding the existential risk of you unresponsibly, disclose something that could affect crypto in a negative way. But I think the incentives are baked right to where that they'll get this stuff done right. That's why Bitcoin's worth more than anything else. Queen of Random, nice name. BBT, what do you think about Octominers? I don't know. I haven't tried one. They're supposed to be sending me one. They've reached out about sending one. They seemed pretty expensive, but we'll check out their stuff. Our old gray matters were about half the price, or steel cases, and really solid. I don't know. We'll see if they're kind of like the Octominers are a lot like our old gray matter cases. We'll see. Government could make an announcement criminalizing ETH. The coin plummets in less than an hour, given the government starts buying the dip until eventually they get 51%. Daniel, I think you're tracking the way this works, buddy. But it has nothing to do with price. The 51% has everything to do with the mining hash rate, and no government on this planet has the power to take 51% of all the hash rate of Ethereum, just because it is decentralized enough that there's so many people mining that you would need to have 51% of all those physically go get them. So even if they try to take over pools, people can repoint their hash rate and stuff. So it's not the way it works. 51% from buying. And there's not 51% of the market, right? So if you look at what the available liquidity and inflows, there's not 51% of all ETH available for sale. So it doesn't work. It has nothing to do with, this isn't like a company type of thing. With comments like that, it reminds me of not everybody understands the nuance of what the difference between mining versus the token and the owning the token and stuff. And we'll maybe have a super noob series to kind of really break the difference of that, which is fine. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Zcash can be mined using a GPU. I can mine Bitcoin with a GPU. It's just not recommended. Your hash rate is going to be nowhere near what the ASICs are. Crypto Moon says, BBT, do you know which of the sub vendors of the 1660 Super is the best mega hash and speed, ignoring power draw for ETH and ETC? So we only have a few, and I've had pretty decent luck with the EVGA on the 1660 Supers. And we have an Asus one that's not too bad, and they're both about the same. Bitcoin 2022 conference, is there a miners convention? So there is a miners convention called Miners Disrupt. It is down in it's in Austin this year. Miners Disrupt, I believe. No, one's in Miners Summit is in Austin. Miners Disrupt is in Miami, and both of them are June, July timeframe. So if you look up Miners Summit and Miners Disrupt, those are two minor conferences coming up. I don't know if we're going to be at either of them. We're in the middle of our container build out, which is several potentially, if we get a couple more containers in before we're power lit there, it could be potentially a couple thousand miners. So that's going to be our focus right now. If we have miners here to get deployed, we have to deploy those. That's just kind of takes precedence. BT, I pay around $55 to $60 a month for 640 mega hash. How's that compare to where you're at? $60 a month. That's pretty good, bro. That sounds like you're paying about 7 cents, 6 cents per kilowatt, depending on how well those 640 mega hash is. That sounds pretty good, man. I think you're in pretty good shape there. That's a pretty good output. Well, is it true that proof of stake post-merge ETH? Is it true about POS post-merge ETH 2.0? I don't know if that's a question. Jeff Bezos already basically owns ETH 2.0. There is some dark truth to that in some weird way, because I think Lido is on AWS. There is a existential risk there that's like the elephant in the room that nobody talks about. Wow, BBT live, and still good evening from Seattle, Washington. Or no, it's Seattle, USA, Washington. What's up, my dudes? Hyped about the shipping containers. Can you expand on the shipping containers? Yeah, so we got 3 containers right now, 360 S19 per container, and we are going to do deep dives on that when we start really hooking them up. Right now we're just doing inventory, making sure we have the right cables for everything, and then in preparation to get our substation lit to be able to plug those in. But I'm going to take you guys through some of that, some of the nuance that we're having to deal with. That there's a lot to it. It's not the mining aspect is the easy part, and when you're expanding to a larger operation. Anybody that's not following us should be following us on Twitter. We do a ton of content on Twitter related to this stuff, and can show you guys like the containers and all the kind of stuff that we're doing. I don't know if I have, let's go over here and look and see Twitter. I don't know if I'm logged in Twitter here. Let's go here. I am logged in, my dudes. So you guys can see here. And let's go over to here. And then we can go over here. And then what we'll do is we'll switch it over to where we can take a look at the smartboard directly. So this is the latest build here that we're working for the render box. We'll look through some of the containers real quick. So these are the containers that we're talking about at our substation. We got some cleaning to do. They are a little dirty, but you can still see that we've got the covers on the fans there. Let's go over here. You can see that they do require a crane to move. That's BBT Ray over there, all dressed in the stuff there. Let's go over here. I think I have one inside. So here's inside the containers. So essentially intake on the left there on this picture. S19s will be setting on that rack right there. Those are C19 plugs, and we have an adapter that plugs C19 to 2 C13s, which allow it to work with like a Bitmain products. Those are 3 800 amp power panel power boxes. And those control each of those little C19 connectors, which are 30 amp, 240. So 30 amps, 240 watts. So you take the 30 times 240 to understand how many watts potential you could have. And you can see above there with the lines going up, that's where all the network switches and stuff are. And there's some lighting. Obviously this is not lit, so it's kind of dark there. And on the left is the intake, so it's going through a series of louvers, and then it goes into a essentially I forget which NEMA rated version that we have in there, but we're going to be switching out the filters. But there's a NEMA rated filter in there, and then it will go through to that kind of, it looks like a wall right now, but that is a hard plastic wall that we actually cut out specifically to each of the miners as they get slid in there, and then it'll go through the exhaust fans on the other side. So that's kind of the setup you guys will see, and then there is the power station. So that right now is not lit, it's getting worked on to be lit, and we should have about 5 megawatts off of that substation there. Once we're
all right, my dudes, another day.
Oh, it's playing
another container. So we're getting this one loaded up.
Music.
You guys will see some.
There we go. I forgot that this thing would actually play video and sound. I was like, I'm hearing myself. What up, my dudes? Oh, and then that's the crib there. So, which I share a lot of different random stuff here. So yeah, if we have, that's the container setup. I don't know if we have any more. Let's go into media here. And let's scroll down here and see if we have any more cool videos. Let's scroll this down. Did some racing. I got some of those videos coming out. Here's the studio. I thought we had, yeah, there's the containers coming up. Getting lifted up there. So yeah, if you guys are not following us on Twitter, you guys are doing it wrong. You should absolutely follow us on Twitter. We'll switch back over here. I do like the fact that I can turn around now with you guys and have this. There we go. So do that. Go back to home here, which takes us back to off the browser. There we go. So that's fire. Very nice. Just bought a shipping container to the farm. You should light it with RGB cards. Yeah, I know. So those are all going to be ASICs, my dudes. They're 40 footers. You should build the house in the center of the containers. That would be loud, my dudes. So it's about, we're going to be doing a power or a sound survey here soon. We did one at DMG, and I don't know if we actually covered that with you guys when we walked through DMG, but if you're in the hot aisle of like S19s with one side, let's say there's a wall of S19s, you're looking around 95 decibels. When you walk out and you're near a container, you're around 70 decibels, which is pretty loud. But when you get about 150 feet, it really comes down, like to where the point you could hear them, but it's well down, from a sound standpoint, around 30 or less. But it's still one of those things that you can hear or not, right? So we're gonna do an audio survey around some just to have a better understanding. I think there's some innovation that can come from our approach of what we're doing, because we're looking at a couple different aspects. One, making the site look good, having some green space and stuff included. Riot had shared that they're putting nice landscaping around it. I think it looks good too. I'm always about a presentation. That's why our studio and stuff looks like the way it is. I think the presentation shows that you care about your employees and care about people, because you want to see things and make sure that they're around nice things too. People are proud of it, right? So I think you got to have the green space thing, and then you got to literally work and make sure that you can make it where the sound is very, responsible is the best word for it. And there's some pretty cool innovative solutions there that we're looking into. Looking at what some large industrial places have tried to do with regards to like megaphones and like Raspberry Pis that are running in noise cancellation. So I think certain aspects of it, you can have noise cancellation, taking out some of the whine and some of the noise if it's broadcasting, other signals to try to cancel that out. But I think it's just super rudimentary, but it's stuff that I would like to test, right? Like we picked up a megaphone here and one that I can hook to a Raspberry Pi, and can I run a counter, like if I have the L7 set in here, and you guys saw it when we walked in the back room, having the L7 screaming, right? And then have a megaphone next to it, and then have it pointed to somebody looking at it, and then start broadcasting noise cancellation. Can we offset that? Like that's the kind of nerdy stuff I want to attempt here in the studio, kind of like a Mythbusters thing. Can we offset sound using something like that? And then I think if you make that have kind of 360 view setup, could you actually noise cancel like a whole bunch, 360 S19 screaming, right? Is that even possible? Is it going to be like good if you're like line of sight, or if you get off just a little bit, now you're going to hear them because you're not getting the megaphone right? Like there's some cool sound engineering stuff that I think you have that there's an opportunity there for sound engineers and stuff to try to take on that kind of task. Underground mining's okay, but it heats up quick. You need a ton of ventilation. You need a ton of cooling. We've looked at that. We've had a few people ask us about octominers. We don't have any octominers. I haven't looked to buy any. I think they were going to try to send us one sometime. No dark mode, no dark mode, bro. We just logged into here. I dark mode everywhere else for the smart board. So is ETH's proof of stake staged for 2023? That's a big question, my dude. I think so. I think it's going to be first quarter. I think their best case scenario is first quarter. I've been saying it for about 6 months now. But I haven't been saying that it's going to be first quarter. I said, what have I said in all my videos? I said, here's the decision points they have to make, right? And then how long does that development cycle take, right? And then that development cycle says if everything's perfect, tests are good, everybody's happy, then they put a date out there and saying this is when it is. And that's like 3 months. They got to do it within a scheduled hard fork. And that scheduled hard fork was June. And they're not making June, so now it's either got to go to October or it's going to be first quarter, because nobody delivers anything in December. It's just not going to happen. That's a terrible idea. Are you getting into solar or wind power? So part of this farm here is powered by wind power. Let's see if you guys had any more questions here. It's been about an hour, and we got to test a lot of the cool stuff here. I mean, this goes a lot. The smart board is going to allow us a lot of cool stuff. We have some cool videos coming up. We had a video, like I said, on Coinly. I have a kind of a deep dive with Compass coming up with, a lot of people ask like, hey, I want to get into Bitcoin mining. How can I get into Bitcoin mining? So I kind of take you guys through and exploring, some being able to buy one and figuring out how to go through all that with Compass. There's a glare on the monitor from the light in the room. Yes, so my lights here and here, we're working on figuring out how we're going to do that. We have some options, I think, that we can get them up a little higher. Let's see here. You guys can see this. Maybe. Oh, it's working still. Switch over to this. So we got one right above this TV. And then we got one over there, and that one's pretty high up. So I think what we're going to do is take this one and just go higher up from the pole. And then this one will come up to here. And then I think we'll be good from the lighting. So we were really testing that out to make sure everything was good to go. But that's the setup, my dudes. You guys can see what I'm looking at here. How cool is that? And we got the smart board. Laptop main, and that's the setup. I think I saw Sean in here too. What's up, my dude? Still got your meter, my dude. Well, Sean over there took care of that. Even though we burned up our other one. So Richie P85's meter's dead. Having to build a new one. Thoughts on random X Monero mining? Never been a super big fan about CPU mining, because the incentive is that you can create bots and botnets to run CPUs, and then the incentive is that they can just write software to send it out to all CPUs, including Raspberry Pis, and write code for like smart fridges and stuff, and then you end up having a botnet running your coin. And it doesn't matter because they're not paying for the power, because they're stealing power from everybody. So then it becomes disincentive. So that's the problem with Monero mining. We need the tool you are using to measure riser power. We are building a new one of that because Richie's tool burned up with the 3990 killed it. Literally the 3990, when we were doing the max load test, hit 660, and the riser power, I think, hit 130 watts on the riser, and it blew it up. It literally blew up the meter. So it was not like before the riser died, the meter died. So we're building a new test bench. This is something BBT Brian's doing. That is going to have a more robust meter and a couple other options there for us to play around with. So it's going to be its own little mover, test. Or adjust the camera position. We can adjust the camera, but I don't think that it will matter. I think we played around with it. Crypto mining like a boss, dropping a 5 spot. Brother, all those super chats go right back into making better content for you guys. So I do appreciate that. Sorry, not the 3990. It's the new 3090 Ti. Let's see here. Love your stuff, brother. I got my first warehouse farm, 3-phase power, low rent. It's a blessing. Love the new setup. Awesome, my dude. 3-phase power is where it's at, my dude. Get that 3-phase coming in, 240. You get that 415 step down transformer to 240 and get her done. Yes, the clock is messed up. I have to fix the clock. It is not 9:19 a.m. Sean's the one on the desk. This one still works. So this laptop's plugged into it. It's using 94 watts right now. Just sitting here idling. Like literally. We got diffusers on one of the lights. It don't matter. It's just the happening on this screen behind me. Especially that 9. No, I don't want to umbrella lights. It was splashing weirdly wrong. I think the lighting is right. It just needs to be higher, and then I can angle it down, and then it won't splash here. It might be a little light right here, but right now it's getting a direct line of sight. And that one over there. Elmore Labs PMD. I think that's what Red Panda's using, right? He's using a new little tester. Mine with it, dude. Yeah, I don't think I have any mining software on this one anymore. We can watch it spike up. We did a mining with this on this. This has a 2080 Super in it. That laptop was born to mine. The Alien 51, 2080 Super. I could mine flux. I think the flux on this laptop is like 90 something hash. It's ridiculous. You have a recommendation for the best starting GPU? If you have just started 6600 XT from Radeon, it's a pretty decent one that I would usually start with. It's pretty straightforward and easy. All right, my dudes, I'm going to wrap this one up. It was good. Thanks for testing. Hopefully some of the ranting was good for you guys. We got some content coming out tomorrow. It should be the Compass video, I believe, tomorrow. And then we'll have the Coinly video on Monday, which is like crypto tax stuff. It's kind of cool. There's some pretty cool stuff with that. It's actually processing right now, trying to push a config. And we got a ton of testing to do, my dudes. So I'm glad that the initial walk test with the phone around the studio worked and the microphone was good. We'll take the data that we got from this stream and make sure that the next stream is even better, my dudes, and we'll do our build and our test. We're actually going to test a pretty cool, sick water cool setup that we actually use an indium on everything. It's